Rev up your engines! Well, if you ever watch me, I'm not a big BMW fan, or dealers rip people off all the time. Well, here's an email from a fan who's going to get ripped off by BMW, but he used his head, and he didn't get ripped off. Jimmy says, I bought a 2012 BMW X5 in 2016 for 22 grand. Then I bought the Car Shield warranty for 4 years for 2,500. 48,000 miles. The DEF tank heater went bad. BMW replaced it for 4,500 bucks, but it was covered. Then in 2021, the rear air suspension goes out. That wasn't covered. The dealer wanted $3,800. So I bought 2 OEM air suspension bags for 300 bucks, and my friend Henry at Henry's Auto Body Shop installed them for $200, 2 hours labor. 6 months later, my glow plug light comes on. The dealer wants $3,400 to fix it. I got the parts for 130 bucks and put them on myself. That sums it up. I do my own oil after the dealership stripped my plug on purpose to sell me a new aluminum pan. I just fixed it by putting in a longer bolt. I'm staying away from them from now on. Yeah, horror stories like that could go on and on, especially at a BMW dealer. They're just there to rake money in from their clientele. They don't care. They just figure, you don't have the money, we don't care. We don't want you. You want a customer who's got more money. I mean, the way they mark stuff up and the costs that they have, I mean, it's almost unbelievable. They wanted $3,800 to fix an air suspension system, and he bought the OEM bags for $300 and had his friend put it on for $500 instead of $3,800. That's how those people are. That's why I tell you, do not buy one of those cars unless you got a friend who works on BMWs. They're going to take you to the cleaners. That's how luxury cars are, especially German luxury cars. Go to the place. The people working there have three-piece suits and stuff on. I mean, come on, it's just a game they play to take money out of your pocket. Here we go again with crappy Hyundais. They just recalled 215,000 Sonatas in the United States because they might start on fire. And here's the funny thing. They recalled them for that before, and now they're doing it again. Fuel hoses can leak in the engine compartment and start a fire. Just what you want. Great made cars, right? Here's the hilarious thing. In 2020, they recalled them, and the dealer said they inspected them, and they put tape wrapping on some of them so it doesn't happen. All right, yeah. Just put some tape on it. You know what a fix that one was? Well, now they got to recall them all, and they're going to have to replace all the fuel lines. Not just put some tape on them. I mean, this is just unbelievable. Their solution was put some tape on it. It reminds me of the Red Green show where he had duct tape, you know? You can fix everything with duct tape. Well, you're building a car, fix them with tape, and now they got to actually replace all the hoses on them. Not only do they not build them right, they don't fix them right either, putting tape. Now they got to actually replace them. Go to the National Highway Traffic Safety Association.org website, put in your VIN number. If yours is covered, take it in and get fuel lines replaced before your car starts on fire. Then you'll have a real hot car. Reasons for moving says I have an AGM battery question. I got a 2017 Audi at an AGM battery. The dealer checked it last year for 45 bucks and said it was normal. Should I change one because it's 5 years old? Stands for absorbed glass mat batteries. It's a better type of battery. They cost more money, but they have more power and stuff. A lot of times they can last an awful long time. Yours is working, so I'd say, what the heck? Chance. Keep going. When it goes bad, replace it. Now, when you replace it, you want to place it with an AGM battery because your charging system was designed for it. You're going to pay a lot more money for the battery, but you don't have to buy it at the Audi dealer. Many places sell AGM batteries. You can get AGM battery at AutoZone, any of those places. They all sell them. Sometimes, I don't know what it is, but some battery manufacturers have a batch that lasts an incredible time. I've had some people with factory ones that lasted like 9 years and they're still working. So why waste your money on one if it's working now? You might have gotten one of the good ones, and I'm telling you this, you never know. No matter where you buy batteries these days, the quality is going downhill. Yours is 5 years old. They made them better 5 years ago. You might get a new one that might last you 2 years and go out. Believe me, they keep making everything cheaper. And you go out and buy one now, it might last not even as long as the one you got that's 5 years old. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. But when you do, you got to go AGM. Bob says, I got a RAV4 Bouncy Noise. Got a 2007 RAV4. When I accelerate to 20 and 50, and when I brake to slow, the noise sounds like tires bouncing off the surface, and my steering wheel shakes a little. What could it be? You might have more than one problem. If you brake and the steering wheel shakes, you probably have warped brake rotors. They can be measured, and you need to replace the rotors and pads. The bounciness is probably your worn out front struts. It's what? 15 years old. I'm sure the struts are worn. And that's going to make it bounce, and the tires will be bouncing because the strut is supposed to absorb the shock, and if it doesn't, it'll jerk and bounce, and then it'll bounce down the road. Now, of course, any worn part can do weird stuff. So watch my video, how to check out your own car suspension. Scotty, watch that video. You can jack it up, check to see if if you have any play in it. See, is the lower ball joint wobbly, or is the tie rod worn when you turn it and you see it wiggle back and forth? Lots of stuff can do it, but shaking when you're braking is usually warped brake rotors, and tires bouncing is usually your struts. You'll start getting bouncy, especially when you're braking hard, or if you accelerate hard, there's all that strain, and if it's loose and they're worn, the strain will make them bounce around a little. Jules 007 says, I have lost curse control on my GMC. I have lost curse control too sometimes. I can't stop swearing. A lot of it has to do with horrible engineering, the people who buy the cars, right? But I'm assuming that he means cruise control. There's a small gray wire hanging next to my steering column near my brake. All right, what we want to do is find where that wire goes. I understand your cruise control. One of the safety devices is your brake system. If you have your cruise control on, you hit your brakes, it turns the cruise control off so it doesn't keep accelerating while you're braking. Look there, you probably found that a wire has come off. There is a brake light switch, and that also runs the cruise control. You step on the brake, look above on the rod, coming down the brake pedal, and you'll see there's wires. That's the brake light switch and the cruise control assembly. Probably one of the wires broke off. Now, if it broke off inside the switch, you just buy another switch. The switch comes with a little bit of wiring on it that plugs in. That's got to be what it is, because they work together. Your brake system operates the cruise control system too. I kind of like the idea that you lost your curse control, because I lose mine every once in a while. Not as much as I did when I was young, when my wife would close the windows. Oh, he's swearing again while he's working on cars. You get older, you get a little bit wiser and realize, well, I didn't design it, you know. I didn't build it, and I didn't break it, so I'm here fixing it, so I shouldn't get too emotionally involved in it, I guess. Jason 016 says, should I keep my Ford Fusion? I have an 06 Ford Fusion, 2.3 liter manual tranny with 243,000 miles. What should I do? I kind of figured it was a standard transmission if you got 243,000, because I've never seen a Fusion with an automatic that lasts much over 100, even that. They had horrible automatic transmissions, but that's a standard transmission. If I were you, I'd just keep changing the oil and take care of it. The prices of cars are so high nowadays that it would be stupid to buy another car if your car's running okay. Change your oil a lot, take care of it. Who knows how long it's going to last. Now, if the engine starts to go out, then you got to decide, you're going to put many thousands or you're going to get another car. But if it still runs perfectly fine, I'd leave it alone unless you were moving somewhere where you didn't need a car, and then sell it for whatever you can get and then go someplace else. But you're going to have to replace it. And if it runs okay with that, who knows how long it's going to last. You're playing on house money anyways. You got all that mileage, 243,000 miles, it's still running. And it is a standard transmission. Those don't have problems like the automatics did. So if I were you, I'd hold my hand for a while. Nathan says, I have a burning smell in my 2017 Mustang GT after I hit the red line. I got it used in December 2021. It's a 2017. I hit the red line twice for about 1.5 seconds, but noticed a strange burning scent. I didn't do a burnout, so I don't think it's the tires. What could it be? You don't want to red line a car. You rev it as high as it can, especially one that's 6 years old. Stuff can go wrong. Now let's pray it's something simple. If you red line it real high, maybe the valve cover gaskets leak some oil, then it gets on the exhaust and smolders. Look around your exhaust and look up on the top. Now the other thing is a bad thing. If you did rev it too high, you're going to start burning up stuff. Pistons, head gasket. When you smell that smell, you want to pray when you open the hood, you smell it under the hood. Because then, okay, something's leaking, right? But if you go to the back of the car and you smell it coming out of the tailpipe, then yes, you've damaged the engine. Pistons will get worn. You can start blowing the head gasket. It'll start burning pieces of it up. But then you're going to smell it coming out of the exhaust. It isn't burning the gas right because the engine's worn inside. It'll smell at the exhaust, not under the hood. So perhaps an easier way of checking it is do it when it's not windy. Car's idling, you open the hood, you smell it under the hood, it's in the hood. If you don't, close the hood, go to the back and it's coming out the exhaust. On a windy day, if the wind's blowing, it might blow it all over the place. You might blow the back to the front or the front to the back and confuse you. Do it on a windless day. And you'll be able to figure out where the smell's coming from. Pray it's coming from under the hood and it's just a leaky gasket. Well, if you remember the old International Scout, guess what? It's coming back as an electric vehicle. Only it's going to be made by Volkswagen. You might think, what does the old International Truck Company have to do with Volkswagen? Well, it turns out that they've been bought and sold many times. And now one of the companies that Volkswagen owns the International Truck Company. And so they now own the name of the International Scout. So they can call it a Volkswagen Scout. You know, everybody say, oh, these Broncos are real popular. Everybody's into that stuff. Volkswagen says they're going to bring it back as an all-electric vehicle. And they also say that the Scout is going to be its own brand, just like Dodge Ram, and then they just call them Ram. Ram is their own brand. Same thing. Volkswagen is going to market that way for off-road people. Well, you know, Volkswagen is also going to be bringing back their Volkswagen van. It's going to be called ID.Buzz. There's no date as to when they're actually making the Scout. It's going to be all electric vehicle, just like the Buzz is going to be. Of course, they're taking a bit of a gamble with that. The microbus makes sense. People like riding around in the little microbuses. You don't take a microbus off-road, really, right? But if this Scout thing is going to really be an off-roader, I don't know how popular off-roaders are going to be with electric vehicles. How are they going to charge them out in the middle of the woods, stuff like that? That could be a bigger stretch. But, you know, they own the name Scout, and they're going to be making a Scout to compete with the Broncos and all that stuff. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.